Had a chance to watch a little more, had a chance to study a little more, and get ready for practice today. So that's kind of the excitement of getting back to work. Like, that's what you do on days like this. You can't dwell on anything. You can't keep your head down. Like, you got to bounce back. You got to get back to work and got to get better. And that's what we plan on doing today. So there's things that we can clean up. There's things we're going to clean up. And then we got to focus on ourselves here in the next couple of days of really trying to get better, while also getting prepared for our game on Thursday. So that's our goal. We're back to work here in a little bit this afternoon and keep trying to get better, stay focused on what's coming next. So I'll open for any questions.
Micah, what did you learn about your team last night?
You know what? It's playing a road game's a little bit different, right? There's obviously, you don't have the kind of crowd to lean on in tough moments, right? So it's just you, it's just your team. And that's where I think we've never been in that situation before, right? And in a scrimmage when you're down and you come back, it's not that big of a deal, because it doesn't count anyway. The stakes were a little higher yesterday, and we need to still be better at, when tough moments come, sticking together and sticking to our principles and doing what we do. So, when you feel like your first thought as a coach when things don't go right, you got to do it better and do it harder before you make a change. I don't believe it was our system. I believe it was how we executed our system. And, that's what I learned. That's where I think we'll get better. But in those tough moments, we got to get tighter as a group. And, that maybe that's part of the newness of a bunch of new guys that haven't been through those moments together. But, maybe that's a benefit of playing a road game, your second game of the season instead of, getting fat and sassy at home for a while.
Micah, what do you think is the right way to talk to your team after a loss like that? How do you believe you should set the tone in the locker room and then today at practice after you lose by double digits there?
Yeah. You know what? The thing I told those guys last night was, one, give credit to the opponent. Those guys played well. They played great. And, we had a part in that of helping them play well. But they did their part, and we didn't do our part. So, I try and stay as balanced as I can in those locker room moments because you haven't seen it, right? There's things in your mind that you think what happened, and there's, plays that you remember and you see, but when you go back and watch film, it really clears everything up for you. I try and stay as calm and poised as possible in the locker room after the game because it doesn't do you any good to, get upset and spout off at something, and then you go back and look and you're wrong. So I want to be right. And when I go back, and there's learning moments, there's teaching moments, and that's what we'll get to today in film. Today in film, we'll talk a lot about our effort. Like, one of our 4 keys to the game is dominating effort, and they did that, right? Now, I specifically go back to a moment, 17-26 in the first half. Fernandez loses the ball. He loses the ball as he's driving it. He dives on the floor. We stand around and watch it. They go on a 24 run after that. In the locker room for every game, I say the game honors toughness, right? They made the tough plays. They deserved for the ball to go in. They deserve for those moments to happen, right? I don't know what happens if we dive on that loose ball. I have no idea. They got that loose ball. They threw it out. Buttrick drove it. He got fouled. He makes free throws. They're off and rolling, right? But, you have to win. You have to dominate the effort category, and that's what I talk to those guys about all the time. That's what I'll talk to them about in film. I can't coach effort. can't. Got to find guys that want to play with effort because that's a part of winning.
Hey, Micah, when you talk about bouncing back, I mean, what will that look like to you in practice or in film, and what will that, I guess, sound and feel like?
I think it really goes, the one thing is you can't turn one loss into two, right? So, I can't go in there and crush these guys in film. We need to learn through the film of how we can get better, but they need to see it as well. So they know what they're learning. They know why we want to do things. They know how it'll make us better. And then we need to go to the practice court and execute it. And we need to do it at a high rate, the speed, and we need to do it at a great pace, and we need to do it with great focus so we can do it in the game-like setting. So I think that's what our practice will look like today. Like we're going to be in film session for a long time because there's a lot we need to clean up. There's not we need to get better from, but they are fixable mistakes. It's not anything that I can't make anybody taller, can't make anybody stronger. Those are things that you can't control, but we can control things for us to get better. So, I think that's what a majority of our practice will be, is controlling what we can control to be better the next time we step on the court.
Micah, you mentioned that newness. Is there any way to accelerate that and increase the cohesion quicker? Or do you just kind of have to wait it out and let it happen with time?
I think sometimes you have to wait it out, unfortunately. I wish I had the magic formula because I used some of it last night. But it's you do. Sometimes you do have to go through things to learn from them to get better. And you use them. Sometimes you lose a game and you just throw the tape away. You're like, man, we didn't have it. We were awful, right? But then sometimes you use that tape to get better from it. And I think we can get better from this. I think guys are still learning each other. And, like you said, that newness, being in an environment together for the first time in a tough environment when things aren't going your way, I think that's what we need to accelerate. We need to use all of these moments as teachable moments and accelerate that timeline for ourselves. But we still have to go through that timeline. We can't push through it and skip steps. And you got to learn hard lessons. And we learned a hard lesson last night.
Moving into Thursday's game, what are you guys looking at to do?
I think defensively, some of the things we need to clean up and be a little bit better at. I think that's the main thing. It helps to start to get more people back in practice, where we can do more stuff. So there's a lot to clean up, but like I said, they are fixable issues. But we'll start it today. We're not moving. We were a step behind all night. But we weren't moving as the ball was moving defensively, right? So, if a guy gets beat, there was nobody there to help him, nobody there to cover for him, nobody rotating on the backside to box somebody out. All things that can be fixed, all things that we'll work on because, St. Francis will do the same things. They're going to play at a quick pace. UMass had played at the quickest pace that we played against so far, and St. Francis will play even faster. So our transition defense has to be really good. We got to get back and limit their easy opportunities early in the shot clock, early in possessions, and then kind of make them grind it out in a possession-by-possession game. So I think those are all things that we'll show in film, and we'll get better at hopefully here in the next couple of days.
Micah, just following up on that, you said getting guys back in practice. Are you expecting to get guys back soon, or what's the situation there with?
Well, there's, part of it's not all injuries too, right? There's illnesses and everything else. So, we've had a revolving door at times of guys being in and out. And, the more guys you get back in practice, the more energy it brings when new guys come back and they've been sick or they've been out and they haven't been there. So I think that helps us. That will help us. It'll help us be able to do more things. We don't have to manage practice as much in terms of, limiting guys' reps in practice, so they're fresh for games. But I don't want to use any excuses, right? And we're not going to do that. We got to go with who's available, who's ready to help us at this current moment, and that's enough. That's enough for us. And I say it all the time. Nobody feels sorry for us. Like UMass didn't, St. Francis isn't going to. Nobody in the Big Ten is going to feel sorry for us. And we need to pick our heads up, get ready to roll, and whoever's available is going to be available. Sick, unhealthy, healthy, we're going to roll. We're going to find whoever's ready, and we're going to play.
Micah, after having a night to sleep on the loss and go back over things, upon reflection, is there anything that you feel differently about today than you did, immediately after the game?
I don't know if there was much sleeping involved. Maybe that might happen tonight after practice, but it was still the same thing, right? I still felt like we were behind, but we let it snowball in a way, and that's where we have to put our foot down and really understand what's happening in the game. So I've gone back and watched segments of the second half multiple times today, and you go back and you think to our start, we're down 6, and we should have had a bucket to start the second half. We got wide open in the middle of the paint. We deliver that basket. We got 4 stops in the first 6 possessions of the second half. So we were guarding the right way, but we were turning it over on the other end, so we weren't taking advantage. That's where you have to kind of flip it when you're on the road. You have to take those advantages when you get them. We have to clean up our execution. I need to be better at helping us make sure we're executing a little bit better. And even, they threw some different wrinkles at us throughout the game. And like I said, these early games are tough. Excuse me. These early games are tough because there's stuff you can't necessarily see on film. And they can do stuff different, and they did it. But now that's where our growth as a team needs to, kind of speed up and be better. That, when anybody throws something at us, we're ready for it. So the more practice time we get, the more togetherness we get. I think we'll be better in those situations. And, I still believe in these guys.
Micah, was there anything after watching the film that you wish you would have done differently, maybe an adjustment you wish you would have made that you didn't at the time?
I think helping our guys get more organized in terms of what we were doing. And like I said, that was on me. They've thrown a wrinkle out in terms of how they threw the three-quarter press out, and we broke it at times, but we weren't aggressive when we were breaking it, right? We didn't look for those opportunities to score right away. And I tell them all the time when that happens, like layups, dunks, wide open threes, we're taking them. I didn't think that we looked to be aggressive in that way. Like that's something that I would want those guys to do, continue to talk about. And then getting right into our offense right away because they were scrambled a little bit based on where we broke it, where they were, how they were matched up. If we would have started moving the ball and playing right away, now they're not matched up where they wanted to be. Instead of them, we gave them time to get back to where they needed to be. So, those are all things that we'll work on in practice today, right? That was something that was good for me to see how we didn't adapt to that. So we'll work on it. We'll get better at it. And that's, something that I saw that, I got to help them, right? I got to help them make those adjustments and then, maybe call them more sets to help us in terms of what they were doing. They switched a lot of screens, so they take you out of a lot of what you want to do. But we still need to be better in how we execute that.
Mike, I guess following up on that a little bit, you talked a little bit about your guards in those ball screen situations last night. What do you need to see from them to handle those situations better? And just overall, I mean, what would you like to see from your guards that maybe you didn't see last night?
I think some adjustments in terms of recognizing how they're guarding things and then being able to handle those situations. Like we had seen it before. How George Mason guarded us pretty similarly, We talked about it at halftime, really making that adjustment. That was something we went into the game talking about, really getting our guys to separate away from the pick and roll defender to be able to see better and deliver passes. That's something where we'll work on that with our guards, where they separate more, because there were opportunities at the rim that we didn't get. If we get away from that guy, we're delivering that ball a little bit better. They ended up getting, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 steals just reaching in as the ball screen defender, right? Because we didn't bounce out, now his length comes into play, and he's swiping the ball from us, or he's getting in the passing lane. So all things, like I said, they're all correctable. It's all correctable, and these guys are still learning. Like they've never, like I'm teaching them things, how to handle different ball screen coverages, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time to read it, but the next time we see this, we should be a lot better at it.
Hey, Micah. St. Francis Brooklyn is a guard-dominant team that can light it up from 3. What do you need to change so that St. Francis Brooklyn does not rain threes like UMass did last night?
Yeah. Part of that I think us being a step behind, we need to be more prepared for it, but we need to adjust in terms of where we are on the floor. I'm going to say they had 13 threes last night, and some of those were threes that we would give up, okay? Like, some guys making shots. Like, those are shots that I'm okay with. But some of the others, when they don't do anything and they get a 3, that's where we have to clean those up, right? Those are more positioning than anything, right? We're a little bit too low in our gaps. We're playing below people. So now when it's one pass away, we have a longer closeout. We're creating that on ourselves. It wasn't anything that they did special to get some of those threes. Our positioning defensively, we're going to grow. We're going to get better. We're going to work on it today. We're going to work on it tomorrow. And if we can take some of those away, you feel a little bit better about it. And, we also can't, you talk about things that you learn, like we can't play through our offense all the time either, right? You got to win games when you shoot 37%. You have to win some of those. But you can't win those when you're giving up that many threes. But if you're giving up the right threes, that's okay.
Last question.
Conversely, where are you guys at from a shooting volume standpoint from beyond the arc? Was last night sort of where you want to be? I think you had around 13. Or do you want that volume to increase?
You know what? It's kind of really dictated on how the game's played. Like we don't go in with like a certain number or a certain style. We take what the defense gives us. Their defense going into last night was really susceptible at the rim. They had given up a lot of points in the paint, so we really wanted to try and attack the paint. I think some of those drives, trying to get to the rim. Now we got to make better reads at the rim too. We got our shot blocked a few times when there were opportunities to kick out and find open guys, which would have been open threes. So we'll take them when they're open. We'll take the right threes, but we don't have a certain number that we look towards and say, this is what we want. They overplayed a lot, so we were trying to get more at the rim. We got to convert better at the rim. We weren't very good there last night. I think the numbers, slip, my mind, but I want to say we were less than 50% at the rim, right? We got to be better there. That's, we got to convert a lot of those easy attempts that we were getting, which now causes them to help more, which is going to open up more kick-out threes and everything else. So it all works together in how we play.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.